Hello, class. So I woke up with 3 to 4 inches of snow, so unfortunately I did have to cancel class today. But I want to go over the in-class exercise so that way we don't have to lose any of our schedule over the course of the semester. So first, I added January 15 in the beginning of these 3 items here so that way you know that this is what we're focused in on. I also would like you to take a review of the linear forecasting if you need to review this topic. We did a lot of linear regression last semester in the 323 class, so if you need to review this, then go ahead. I added some videos here that should be helpful for you. But today's class topic is going to be the moving average forecasting method. So I have the link here to reading that you can do on this type of forecasting. And basically we're going to be using the arithmetic mean of the last some number of observations, k observations or n observations. So that way we sort of average them out in a way. We want to do this when there's not really a strong trend or seasonality, and it helps to sort of quiet out data that are noisy. So take a look at this video, and then this one is going to be for a future class. So just this simple moving average video right here. And then the in-class exercise, which is now moved to remote, is using some stock data. So first, what you would want to do is download the stock data. It's also in the class datasets page. And I have this open in Excel here. I'm trying to size the page to the same size as the viewing window. So just give me one moment for that. All right, so here we have the stock data, and I'll go ahead and make this column a little wider so that we can see. This data range is 2013 to 2018, and it has a various number of stocks in here. So I'm going to use American Airlines for the in-class example, or in this case, in-video example. So I'd like you to choose any other stock for yours. I'd like to see a variety. So I would suggest that you choose a stock that's interesting to you, or maybe a stock that maybe you have shares in or something like that. It should have some interest to you. So first thing that I'm going to do is add some filters onto the headers here, and we can see that the stock names are in column A. So you can go through and figure out which of these stocks you would like to analyze, and I'm going to choose the AAL for American Airlines, and I'll click OK. So once I have that, then I can kind of take a look at the range and see how much data I have, and I did a Control Shift down in order to select the entire range, so it would bring me to the end. I see I have 1,260 rows here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to copy this whole range. So I did the Control Shift down command again, and now Control C to copy this, and I'm going to add a new tab and paste it in. So now I have on this tab only the American Airlines stock. I'm just trying to make sure. Hold on, I'm going to use the Control Shift down to go down because my scroll bar is not behaving very well for me right now. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's my mouse, but okay, looks good now. All right, now that I've done that, I'm going to delete the original All Stock 5-year data tab just because we don't really need it. There's too much there really, and I'm going to name this sheet after the stock that I selected. And now I can kind of clean this up and only keep things that I want. So I do need the date. We're going to use the close price for our forecast because that's pretty common practice in finance. So I'm going to delete the open, high, and low rows. You could also hide them if you want to keep them. And I'm also going to delete volume and name. Because I have the name down here in the tab, I know that I'm dealing with American Airlines. And now I just have the date and the close price. The next thing I want to do on this setup is I want to create some tabs for year, for month, and then we can use Excel formulas. So we can take the year formula and grab our date, and we can also do the same for month. And if these don't come in as this format, if they have like a weird date, then you'll just have to go and change your data type to general. There's a chance that yours might look something like this. If that's the case, you just have the wrong data type. So moving it to general will help you there, and we can fill these down. So now we can see that we have a year and a month for every record here. I'm just going to give these a cell style just so that I know that this is the original data. So I'm going to use this blue format on my headers. And then I'm going to come over here, skipping a column, and I'm going to set up the columns so that we can do a moving average forecast. Now you should have already watched the video before and you got an example of how this was done with different data. So I'm going to set up year, month, period, and average close price. I would like these to be a different color, so I'm going to select green in this case. This next part is a little bit manual. I'm going to start in the month column because once you have a pattern, you can go down to 12 because there's 12 months. And then you can copy those down a few times in order to set this up. Oops, I did copy instead of paste. But what we want also is the year. So if we put the year in once and try to fill down, it won't work because it'll think we want to do 2013, 2014, 2015, and so on. But if you type in 2 of these years, you can select them both and drag them down, and that will work. So just continue that until you get them all filled in. And then at the end, when you've filled in to create your little summary table, we have it in this format where we have a year, a month. And then we also want to add period to this. And since we're dealing in months, it's going to go down. So now that I have a 1 and a 2, I can double click on the fill handle and it will copy down all the way until we have 72 periods at the end of 5 years. Now, you should have it all set up like this, and then this is what we need in order to start doing the weighted average. The next step here is to calculate the average close price. So we are going to take the average for the month when the year is, whichever. So we want the average, for example, for month 1 when the year is 2013, or the average for month 2 when the year is 2013, and so on and so forth. So we can build one formula here, and then we can copy it down, and the formula that is best for this is called average ifs. So when you get to average ifs, I'm going to press tab to open the function. And the first argument that we are entering is the average range. And so for the average range, it's going to be the close price. So I'll select D2 and Control Shift down to select the entire column. And then I'll add a comma, which will move me from the average range to the criteria range 1 arguments. So let me go back up, and we want to average when the year I'm sorry. We want the criteria range. So the criteria range here is this area, and the criteria that we want it to be, since we took the year range, we want it to check the year in our summary table. And we have a second criteria, which is month. So we're going to do the same thing for month. Again, that keyboard shortcut is Control-Shift-Down to select that entire range. And then when I add a comma, it will advance to the next argument. And we want to select month. So we're finding the average of this D range, which is close price, when the B range, which is year, is equal to this cell here, and then when the C range, which is month, is equal to this here. We are going to have to lock down these cell references as well. So we need to lock this range, and we need to lock this range. I'm pressing F4 key to lock these ranges, or you could manually add the dollar signs. And I press enter and I get an error. Now, this is because there's already data in this range, but everything else is giving me some results. So there's no stock data for January 2013. I'm going to delete this. And I'll shift the cells up. And then I'll go down to the end here, and I'll also, I'm just going to delete these values here. I'm going to leave the rest of 2018 there because we will forecast up to this range. So now you should have a table that looks like this. And since a close price is a currency, I'm just going to change that to make it look a little bit cleaner. Next thing that I'm going to do is make a header for moving average forecast. And I am going to use a 4-month moving average. You could do a 3 or a 5 or a 6 or a 7. I'm going to leave that up to you. As long as you do a forecast, that's great. You can pick 4 if you like. I'm going to do 4. So because I'm doing 4, I need to skip 3 because I don't have 4 things to average. So if I start in the 4th one, I can use the average function here, and I can take an average of the last 4. This can be copied down, and you have all of your averages here, except of course this area. But I'm going to show you another way. So I'm going to delete these out because there is an easier way to do this, and that's using the Data Analysis Toolpak. So if you go to the Data tab, you should have the Data Analysis Toolpak installed in your Excel already. If you don't, you'll have to go to File and Options and Add-ins, and then down here where it says Manage Add-ins, click Go, and then just make sure this box is checked and click OK, and then you'll see it up here in the data ribbon just here. Alright, so I am in this cell here. I'm going to click Data Analysis, and I have Moving Average in my choices. It's already selected because that's what I did most recently, and I will click OK. So now we have an input range, which is going to be our average close price. And I do not have labels in the first row, but if you selected the first row, then you could check the labels box here. For interval, I'm going to select 4, and that's because I want to average 4 values together. If you were doing a 6-month average, then you would enter 6. And then my output range, I'm going to select here, and it will fill down from there. And I also would like the chart. You could print standard errors if you like. the video that you should have watched before doing this shows that, but I am not going to use that. I'm just going to get the average. So I'll click OK. And we can see that it very quickly made a chart for me. And it filled in the averages. You can see that the first three, rather than being blank, they have NA values. And you can see that the formula here is right in the cell. So this is the exact same formula that I previously entered manually, but this time with a few clicks of the mouse, the Excel Data Analysis Toolpack was able to do that for me, plus make a chart. So that'll save you a little bit of time doing it this way. So this is all known data. What about the future? So this is where we're going to do some changes. So first thing I want to do is select the chart because I want to extend the range. And then that way I'll have more time periods here on my x-axis. All right, now down here we don't have a stock price. So what do? Well, things get a little bit different here. So I'm going to color this just to indicate that. I'll just use a lighter shade of green. And here we are going to take the average of the last 4 forecasts. And then we're going to copy that down. Once we do that, we can copy both of them down. So now we can see that these are not actually average close prices. These are projected based on the 4-month rolling moving average that we're doing here. This also updated on our chart. And this is, you can see it's flattened out, but this is typical for this type of forecast. So this is what you see. You see a sort of flattening behavior here. You can also see that the moving average shows a little bit of a delay in the trends compared to real time, and that's normal as well. So it's not perfect, but it does help us project out a little bit. Of course, the further you forecast out in any method, the less accurate you'll be, but this gives us at least some information that we didn't have to start with. And that concludes this exercise. So for full credit, please submit your Excel file to Canvas with your moving average forecast for any stock except American Airlines. So just choose any other stock and submit that for full credit. So please remember to delete the other 5-year data because Canvas has issues with larger file submissions. I'd like to see your chart include the forecast as well, like mine has here. And please forecast out a minimum of 6 months into the future of this data set. Of course, it's 2026 today and 2018 is in the past, but it's the future compared to this data set. So please forecast out at least 6 months into the future for your forecast. Okay, so once you submit that, the next activity that you can take a look at is doing the same exact thing, but either in R programming language or in Python. So this is an extra credit assignment where you can earn up to 10 extra points that will be added to your Excel moving average assignment, the one that I just went over. So I recommend that you use AI and try to come up with a solution. And you can see that I don't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do. So I have created a solution in R. It took me a few minutes using AI to help me come up with this code. And then, of course, it took me a little bit longer in Python because I used a Jupyter notebook and I didn't want to run all of the code at once because I wanted to make sure that it was running without error. And so there was more copying and pasting due to the cells and just the layout of the IDE being different. So get this extra credit, and to get it, I want you to submit either your Python file, Jupyter Notebook file, IPYNB file, or your completed .r file, either one. Don't submit both, you only have to do this once. If you want to do it twice, hey, that's great because it's good for experience, but you only have to submit once for the purpose of this exercise. And you'll be able to earn these 10 points. So if your code runs without errors, that's worth 3 points. If it correctly implements the N or K month moving average, that's another 3 points. And if it forecasts through into the future of the data set, that's 2 points. And if your chart, similar to the Excel chart, is included. So we have a chart here, we have a chart here. I'm showing you screenshots because I'm not just going to give you the solution, but I want your code file, so either your R file or your Python file. So that's all I have for you today. So again, I put in the announcement, so I have it on the screen now with a little image for all of the things that you should be reviewing for today. And I hope that's helpful for you, and if you have any questions, you can send me an email, you can schedule a WebEx, or I hope to be on campus tomorrow, assuming that I don't get more snow for office hours. All right, have a wonderful day.